Hello, everybody.
Hello, every pony.
Pony.
JTH.
And Tails the Hero.
And good news, you notice anything different about us?
We're not wearing the damn headphone. This one's actually loud enough for us to, not...
This one's actually loud enough, so we won't need to explain what's going on this time. Of course, I know there will probably be other times in the list when we'll have to use them, but other than that, we're overjoyed because this is the first time we get to do a reaction, and this is part 5 of Princess Molestia. This time, we don't need to explain what's going on. Just listen along with us. Our facial expressions will speak for themselves.
Alright, every pony. I know I didn't upload a video yesterday,
Just
but...
do it, just as a bit of an introduction.
Yeah, just ignore that.
Well,
Just
that's
ignore it.
completely my fault. I had lots of free time and just didn't feel like doing it, so...
Yeah.
Kill me. This is going to be the beginning of Chapter 3, which doesn't look as long as the other ones, so I might be able to do this in one go. I don't know.
We'll find out.
Here we go.
Alright.
Wonderbolts. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Rainbow Dash whispered quietly, sound asleep on her
Wonder Dash.
makeshift cloud bed in the sky.
Oh,
She was
did make a
sprawled out
cloud
on her
bed.
back, a small dab of drool hanging off of the corner of her smiling mouth as she dreamed of finally becoming a Wonderbolt and
her
performing
and
the most
the Wonderbolts.
spectacular stunts
Well,
at an air show.
Oh, he's like,
As
"Ow!"
the
I
quiet
do
night
like the
air
Dash
around
Fire
her produced
shipping
a
couple,
cool,
so...
soothing
Yeah.
breeze that
I
ever
assume
so
that
softly
shipping's kinda
brushed
hot.
By
against
the way,
her
if you don't know what that
vein
means,
and
it's that Rainbow Dash is
relaxing the
Spitfire.
Pegasus
Which is
while
pretty
already
fucking
in a
hot.
deep sleep. Her legs kicked slightly.
Yes, I admit
and
I
her
like that
wings
shipping
flinched
as
and
well.
fluttered,
He got me
seeming to
interested,
try to
so
mimic
kill
the
me.
events in her dream.
Ugh.
Dash was in her ultimate happy place, and nothing but the morning sun would wake her from this pleasant slumber. Well, the only exception to this is apparently the one who raises the sun itself. As Celestia hurriedly flew through the sky and sped right past the cloud Rainbow Dash was asleep on, causing an abrupt and strong gust of wind that nearly topped her off the cloud. Dash awoke, most annoyed that her deep sleep, and most importantly of all, her wonderful dream, had been interrupted. She fumbled slightly to get on her hooves and quickly looked around, just catching the dark figure speeding away from her. "Why, that little..." Dash said to herself,
Rainbow
assuming
Dash
it
being
was
the tomboy that
some
she
pony
is.
that purposely woke her up to mess with her. Without much thought, Dash quickly flared out her wings and gave chase to the already distant black figure.
Oh no.
Before long, Dash had already begun catching up to the figure, its legs and tail clearly visible yet still distant. Though, as she drew closer, Dash took notice that the figure ahead of her was larger than the normal size of any Pegasus pony she knew. Furthermore, the tail was different. It seemed to be lightly sparkling as if it fluttered in the wind, unlike anything she had seen before. Except... why would Princess Molestia be here in Ponyville at night? Dash thought to herself, quickly realizing the identity of the figure that she was chasing. She contemplated the possibility that it had something to do with Twilight Sparkle, but the idea essentially deteriorated as she realized they were heading towards Sweet Apple Acres. This not only confused Rainbow Dash, but also changed her mind from confronting the pony to following her, out of sight hopefully, to find out what was going on. The figure that was apparently Princess Molestia approached Sweet Apple Acres and began to slow down gradually. Soon, she landed inside the property right beside the main farmhouse, and instead of walking to the front, she seemed to begin lurking into the covers of the leaves and peeking out to get a good look. It sure was the princess, all right. She could tell by the presence of the large horn on her head coupled with the wings she used to fly. Celestia slowly trotted around the building, inspecting the windows and walls as she went. Then, she took flight and ascended to the second floor, peering into each of the windows one by one. Finally, she began to take interest in one window in particular, even going as far as poking her head inside to look around. Finally, she slowly slipped inside and out of her view of vision. Eager to see what was going on, Dash quietly flew up towards the house and swooped around just under the windowsill of where Celestia entered, a small light now shining inside. As she leaned her ear closer, she began to hear soft voices coming from inside. "Where are they?" one voice asked, sounding slightly hoarse while at the same time seeming very eager. I read that wrong. I don't know, ma'am. Another voice said.
Oh,
Voice of a
it's Big
cold.
Mac.
It was Big Macintosh. Please, what's wrong? Rainbow Dash poked her head up, daring a look into the room. "I want you to tell me where they are. Right now," Celestia ordered, now clear to Rainbow Dash that she had Big Mac pinned on his back. It seemed that as though he was on the bed of his bedroom with light emanating
That's
from
Sprite, by the
Celestia's
way. It's
horn.
not any liquor or anything like
"I
that.
know
That's
you keep
7
up
Up.
with your sister.
Sprite 7 Up, same damn thing.
Tell
Lemon
me
lime
where they've
soda.
gone," she hissed. "Wait. I mean, she said something about going to one of her friend's places. Celestia was obviously getting impatient, judging by how her face suddenly sprung closer to Big Mac's as her eyes grew larger. Where did she go?
Dang.
Celestia growled.
Dang is
Rainbow
right.
Dash reared back slightly. This wasn't the Celestia she knew. Something had happened to her. Or something was controlling her, maybe. Whatever it was, she didn't know, but she did know that she had to go warn Twilight and the others before something happened. She went to Pinky's place. Yep. They went to that there
Yep.
Sugar Cube corner.
Oh no. She knows that she's not there.
I'll have to look into it. But first, Celestia suddenly began to descend upon Big Mac, her belly now just touching the top of his. This is gonna be hot.
Oh!
I think I should have myself a bit of taste before.
Oh yeah! Yeah, buddy! You
Rainbow Dash gasped, but then quickly shoved the hoof in her mouth to forcefully silence herself.
Oops.
But it was too late.
Oh,
Celestia
no.
heard the noise and quickly raised her head, taking only a split second to make eye contact with Dash. Dash reared back, and after a short, oh no, she quickly turned tail and flew as fast as she could in the opposite direction. Celestia quickly got off Big Mac and
Oh!
I was looking forward to that.
Whoever wrote this, you jerk!
God! You hear what he said?
Yes.
Alone in the bed.
Don't worry, man, Ace Cow. We were looking forward to that
Rainbow
too.
Dash is an incredibly fast.
Whoever wrote this, you jerk!
Often credited as probably the fastest flyer in all of Equestria. Even
Damn
so,
it!
powerful
You jerk!
Dash allowed her to keep up
I
with
wanted
the
to
speed.
hear that.
You jerk!
Even when flying at full speed, Dash
What do you have, derp syndrome?
I have respect for Derpy. Derpy is awesome.
I know, I'm just
Faster
saying that
and
as a
faster Dash
compliment.
went,
It's
but
not
regardless of her speed,
Her.
Celestia stayed right
Or
behind
whatever.
her. Now seeming to catch up.
Oh, that was a good one. Sorry.
Shoot,
Excuse
Eruptor!
me.
Excuse me. Excuse
A way
me.
to shake her off.
It would be like, I can't help it, I
It goes
just...
through a lot of obstacles. Some were dangerous that Celestia might be too big to move through safely. Someplace like...
Don't you shake your head at me,
Forest.
asshole.
Everfree
Dash yelled
Forest.
in her mind. The
I'll
idea
take
suddenly
you out right
sparking
here.
up. Adjusting her course, she quickly began speeding off
224
towards the
pounds.
Everfree Forest,
163
which was not only
pounds.
a
Do
few
the
seconds
math.
away.
Actually, I weigh
Dipping down
150.
almost to the ground,
Okay,
Dash
50
zoomed
pounds.
in
Do the
under
math.
the tree line with Celestia right
I'm not
behind.
saying we're gonna beat him up or
Zipping
anything.
in
We're just
through
playing
bushes and
around.
around
Yeah.
branches and trees, pulling off every trick she knew to try and get
She's just running away from Celestia.
Molestia.
try and get the deranged princess off of her tail.
Arranged.
The fact
Well,
that she was
that
still going
fits her.
nearly top speed through the forest was not a feat by skill alone, but also by foolhardy luck, as every opening she passed through had just the right arrangement of trees for her to be able to barely swerve and swivel past the bark-covered obstacles. Amazingly, Celestia herself had also passed through every obstacle,
What the...
despite her size, and
We
was
have
still
time for
gaining.
another part.
She was
I
now
don't
only
know.
about 10 to
Yeah, I
15
think we
yards
do.
behind.
We'll find
Rainbow
out.
Dash.
It's only 8:17.
Suddenly, Dash lost sight of the princess, as if she had either slowed down, flown above the tree line, or accidentally ran into an obstacle. Yes, she thought to herself, praising her luck as she continued to look back to see if she could see the princess still behind her. But with her
I can still
attention
hear it. I'll just
directed
be right
away
back.
from where she
Yeah, go grab
was
You want me
going,
to pause
Dash
this?
accidentally
No, I can
flew
go.
straight into a large bundle of vines hanging low under a tree branch, snagging her almost
Gotta grab one of
instantly
these
and pulling her
stupid
to a complete stop.
No.
I hate these things, but they work
What the?
for a cause.
Rainbow Dash cried out, hastily inspecting the vines that now kept her in place. Quickly, she began to
Come on,
struggle,
dang it, she
but her
got
plunge
caught.
into the bundle had somehow gotten her exquisitely tangled up.
not by Molestia,
She then suddenly heard a twig break and some leaves rustle, and as she looked up, there was Celestia
Oh no!
proudly towards Rainbow Dash with her horn.
Oh, I will fucking murder you!
The deranged princess looked
No!
straight at Dash, who looked straight back.
Hey, this
Just
might be okay if we
fixated on each
if we
other, just
listen.
as before. Celestia's beady's eyes took hold of Rainbow Dash, froze her in place with the mix of shock, fear, and ultimate confusion as to what to do now. As Celestia approached, a new glow took shape around her horn as the vines that bound Rainbow Dash began to shift.
What?
Pardon me?
Sliding around her body and settling in restraining positions around her waist, her neck, the junction of her flank and her lower legs, and at the joint directly above the hoof.
Oh,
Oh.
The vines tightened and pulled Rainbow Dash's limbs apart,
Ah.
exposing her body fully and pulling it out directly in front of
well,
her.
you mean like that?
There, Dash lay completely
So her
restrained,
legs are
unable
like
to move.
open.
Her wings batting furiously until a couple more vines came and tied them up as well.
Oh god,
Her
now
body
the
was
wings are
pointing
tied up.
straight up, her limbs pulled widely apart, and her wings now held open and stiff like a display before the princess. Slowly, Celestia approached, her menacing grin once more widening and another drop of drool beginning to slide down from her lip. Dash's struggling soon
that
came to
drool.
a halt, unable to move now from the overwhelming combination of shock and fear she was feeling. Gently, Celestia raised one of her hooves, placed it at the bottom of Rainbow Dash's neck, and slowly began to slide it down her body. Gotcha.
Oh
no!
Came to the hallway leading up to Celestia's bedroom. She found half of the guards unconscious,
Oh no!
and the other half still groggy and trying to help the others.
Sorry
out.
for me moving my mouth so much. I got this cough drop thing in my mouth.
Through them. Luna thought to herself. Quickly, she approached the nearest guard and began inspecting it for injuries while helping him get up. Her horn lit up, and the simple rejuvenation spell began to work on the first guard, slowly bringing him back to his senses. As she looked around,
I gotta go talk to someone.
Hey, don't pause the... never mind. Hold on. Tails the Hero will be right back.
Pardon me?
What time do you have to be home? Is Jack gonna take you home? Or is Jack coming to get you?
No,
I just wondered what time you were.
sorry about this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry about that. You okay?
that sucked.
You derp. Let's get back to this.
Yeah.
there were still another 20 or so guards that needed to regain consciousness. This is gonna take a while, Luna spoke to herself. Celestia! Rainbow Dash yelped. That sounded very manly. Rainbow Dash yelled, unable to handle this intense sensation that was currently bolting through her body.
Oh god.
Celestia had her hooves slid around Rainbow Dash's sides, holding her closer while straining the vines further. Her hair was wet and slick, having just been pulled out of Dash's mouth.
Again?
So wrong!
Dash's mouth and was now
I
split
agree,
into
so
two parts,
wrong.
each part rubbing itself against the entire length of Dash's wings and coaxing every feather. Celestia's face was pressed up against Dash while it was maneuvered around her body. Her lips grinding over her tummy while her tongue slithered down between her haunches and back up to it.
Oh no!
Her tongue worked fast and kept
Oh,
up
God.
a steady rhythmic patter, flapping and
This is
twisting
hot.
over Rainbow Dash's coat, careful to reach over every part of her body and tantalize it with just the right touch.
Oh god.
Rainbow Dash's body was shaking, her blood running hot from the overwhelmingly pleasurable sensation running through her. Her tongue draped out over her lips while she panted out madly. Each pulse from the rhythm sent another wave of pleasure spreading around inside of her, like an out-of-control wildfire. Dash couldn't take it. She couldn't explain what exactly she was feeling or exactly how Celestia was doing it, but the entire experience had made her feel better than she did when she won the Best
Shout
Young
out.
Flyers competition.
Oh, to the Steelers.
As if that wasn't enough, Celestia's next move surprised Rainbow Dash as much as it did pleasure her.
I agree with that. Ooh.
Celestia raised up the back of her head while still keeping her muzzle up close to Dash's tummy, and pointed her horn straight up to her mouth. Without any warning, the horn was stuck into Dash's
Oh no!
slid up to her throat. Dash beginning to gag on it lightly.
Oh! Oh god!
His glow also changed, this time to a more pinkish color as it
Oh,
forced
my
back
hair.
the sensation
You
to
dirt.
Dash's lips and mouth, causing her to feel a most daunting pleasure that nearly forced her to begin sucking and lathering the horn with her tongue. Though the entirety of the horn itself could not fit in Dash's mouth. This is hot.
Thank you! I agree!
Let her tongue and lips
This is
massage around
fucking
the
hot.
While
Oh.
she sucked, Dash's hips began to buck up against Celestia's muzzle.
Oh.
I don't know if I can read the rest of this without commenting on every little thing.
Me
It's
either.
okay, bro.
Moving to the rhythm that
It's
was
okay,
already
bro.
present,
Me
and now
either.
making the effects of the
Bro hoof,
movements
my
of her
friend.
lips
Okay,
and
cool.
tongue
Yes, bro hoof.
amplified. This continued on for several more minutes before Rainbow Dash's body, although athletically rounded and very much in shape, finally reached its endpoint with its session. Dash released the lips from her mouth and let her head fall back,
Released the
gasping
lips from her
loudly as her
mouth.
limbs went limp and her muscles relaxed. She panted heavily, drool dripping down from her lips while her entire body was covered with the wetness from Celestia's tongue.
Oh.
She finally passed out soon after releasing her
There's
mouth
something
from the
that
horn,
hardly ever
drifting off
happens.
into a deep
Yeah,
and
right?
exhausted sleep.
Rainbow Dash actually passing out.
Celestia pulled back slowly. The energy in this pony was all used up now. She gently released her magical influence on the vines, and let them and Rainbow Dash slump to the ground. Taking this time to think, Celestia then began to contemplate Twilight's location once more. They weren't at the Apple House, and Celestia knew they weren't at Sugar Cube Corner, because surely she would have been with Pinkie Pie when she came out and followed her. That left her with two options now. and she chose first Rarity's Carousel Boutique. After taking
They're
another moment
there,
to
aren't
look
they?
at the results
Yes.
of her work on the rainbow-maned Pegasus, Celestia turned around and flew out of the forest, heading straight for Rarity's house.
Oh God.
Bless you.
So what would you girls like to do next? How about some sort of a scary story? Twilight asked, cheerfully glancing between Rarity and Applejack. Oh, that sounds interesting, dearie, but I'm really not so big on scary stories, Rarity replied. How about you, Applejack? Don't you have some sort of mare's tail from the barn? Well, Applejack said, a hoof on her chin as she took a moment to think. Actually, I think I do.
Would have been funny if she was like,
This one will be scary enough to knock your socks off.
Nah. It would have been
Sounds
hilarious.
great, Applejack. Let's hear it, Twilight said, eager to hear the story. The three ponies were circled around a magically
I
lit
don't like
lantern
scary
in the
stories
center of
either.
Rarity's bedroom. They were all
Example,
lying on a
cupcakes.
pillow with a blanket draped over each of them, while lightly
What are you eating for?
snacking on some s'mores and other light treats. As Applejack
Oh,
progressed in the
s'mores?
story, the other two ponies became noticeably frightened, Twilight having her mouth bit onto a part of a pillow while Rarity was lightly shaking. And then there was a sound of hoof steps tottering on the floor. Tap, 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 Applejack said, focusing on the story. Little old Blessy Bean listened closely, but after a few moments, there was suddenly a loud knock on the barn door. Without warning, there was a loud knock coming from downstairs, causing both Rarity and Twilight to jump up with the scream. Rarity? I think that's
Perfect
actually
timing,
some pony at your
right?
door, Applejack said, giving a slightly
But
confused
who is
look.
it?
Oh, well...
Three
well,
guesses
okay
says
then.
it's Molestia.
I guess I'll
Yeah.
go have a look, she replied, fixing her hair slightly from it getting a bit frizzled from the recent scream. Her and the other two
Rarity and her
followed,
perfections.
slowly making their way down the stairs
She's
into the
Rarity.
front door
Yeah,
as it
true.
once again knocked loudly. Who in all of Equestria could be knocking at my door at this time of night? Rarity thought to herself as she approached the door. Using her magic, she turned the knob and opened the door to whoever it was outside. As it opened, all three of the ponies gasped at the figure who stood at the entrance, its face different than they had ever seen it before.
Oh.
End part 3.
Oh, you did!
Oh, did they have to, you fucking, did they have to leave us with a freaking cliffhanger?
They always do. Alright, you know what? I think we're done for tonight, so we're gonna click off, say au revoir, get the fuck out of here. I got football to watch tomorrow. Go Pittsburgh, by the way.
Yeah, and I don't really have anything to do at all anymore, but...
Well, you're graduated, you don't have a job, you're not in college, so...
Will you shut that mouth of yours?
Well, you're going to college, right?
Yeah, soon enough.
You know, let's not talk about it online. You know, let's just click off and do our thing.
Yeah, well, anyways, that's all we're gonna do for tonight. The next time we do any of this will be the next time Tales of the Hero's over. I know I won't see him next week or the week after that, because...
It's Christmas.
And New Year's is the week after that.
So, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
And Happy New Year.
Yes. And we know we might be uploading this sometime in January or whenever. So if we're saying Merry Christmas on January whenever, it's because this was recorded around Christmas.
Yeah.
So anyways, like Tales of the Hero, say Merry Christmas and sayonara.